Welcome back, guys. This is Rob Rivera, Animus Visual. Today I am at the NAB 2025 convention at the Blazar booth, talking to our good friend Jackson here. We're basically going to go over the new Mantis series of lenses. As you know, we have the Blazars already and a few other options. So they have just added a whole new set to their lineup. So we're going to go and let Jackson talk about the new Mantis series. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm doing very well, very
All right.
well. Let's talk about this.
Of course. Well, so we're very excited about the Mantis series. This is our new line of lenses. It's a 1.33x squeeze on these, but we've altered the optical characteristics to make it look more like a 1.5x, 2x squeeze in camera. So you're getting that really strong anamorphic character that people are looking after, but in a more practical squeeze factor that you can use on cameras like the FX6 or the Komodo that have 17:9 sensors. And they don't have that vertical height to really take advantage of large stretch factors. So this is a lot more practical for that use case.
Very cool. So recently, right, Blazar released the 1.33 Apex, which has been all the rage because it's autofocus. Secondly, because whatever mojo you guys are doing at Blazar to get a 1.33x squeeze factor to look like a 1.5 or even a 2x is kind of interesting. So do you have any insight on this process, this look, this vibe that allows it to kind of have that additional magic to it?
Yeah. Well, in regards to the Mantis, one of the key pieces of technology going into it is, we can get a close-up shot of this later, but we have a oval-shaped iris on the back. So what that oval-shaped iris does is it keeps the shape of the bokeh consistent throughout the entire aperture range. So it stays consistent the whole way. And so once that oval iris element gets distorted further by the anamorphic element, then that's where you get that extra stretch, where it looks more stretched than it actually is.
Beautiful. I was not aware of that, and that's a very key piece to the look of this lens.
Yeah.
So in regards to maybe comparing it to like the remus line, what would you say is like the new benefit of the Mantis, let's say to weight or T-stop in compared to the Blazar line?
Right. So the T-stop is, compared to the remus, is a lot more wide open. It is going to be T2.0 across the entire range of lenses, right? And in regards to weight, these are also quite light. They're going to be, the whole set is under 800 grams, with the smallest lens, if I'm remembering correctly, is around low 700 or high 600 gram range.
What are the focal ranges and focal lengths?
So the full range is going to be a 25, 35, 50, 75, and 100 millimeter.
Wow, 25. Now, obviously, I own the remus line in full down to the 33, which I find to be crazy to get such a wide anamorphic lens. But obviously, these are 1.33 stretch factor, which allow for a even wider focal length on that anamorphic lens. So, is there a plan to make additional lenses in this line?
I doubt we will make any wider lenses, simply due to the fact that if you go there's a certain point where once you get too wide in an anamorphic lens, then it just gets significantly larger and heavier. So it just doesn't work from an engineering perspective. It doesn't work. There might be a possibility for maybe longer focal lengths later down the line, but I can't speak to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
As far as matte box compatibility and things like that, what do we got?
Right. So all of the lenses except the 25 will have a 80 millimeter front diameter and a 77 millimeter filter thread. Now, the 25 is a little unique in that it's not going to have a filter thread, because in our testing, it's so wide that if you put a circular filter on it, it's just going to vignette. So we're encouraging people to use matte boxes, at least with that specific lens, and it won't vignette.
Okay, and then I think my bigger question here, and this is a technical one, in terms of performance, sharpness, specifically aberrations and things like that. So I noticed on the remus line, obviously there's got to be some compromise at some point. And so performance-wise, especially not having to go as far as a 1.5 stretch, would you say that it is slightly better performer? What are the characteristics compared to like the remus line?
Yeah, I would say it is a better performer, just due to the fact that it's a 1.33x compared to a 1.5 or a 2. The smaller stretch factor means you're going to get less distortion, less chromatic aberration. In my personal testing, I really haven't seen anything that stands out in regards to that, like the chromatic aberration or really extreme distortions. So it's perfectly usable for, like, say you want to take this to a client shoot and you just want a little spice in the look of it, but the client is not going to bat an eye at this.
Yeah, and I think that's really important and a big differentiator because, once you go 1.5, 2 stretch, so you have a much tighter aspect ratio, and obviously you're kind of stuck there unless you crop a ton. So once you do that crop, I mean, you're getting a lot less of your sensor, especially if you're on a 4K sensor, you're having to punch in a ton. So you lose some resolution there, whereas using the 1.33, like you said, on a 17:9 sensor, gets you very close to where you want to be on the final resolution output.
Yeah, exactly. And on an open gate sensor using this, you're going to get a 16:9 image out of it. So then you don't need to do any cropping if that's your deliverable.
Yeah, that's definitely coming in super handy. What can you tell us in regard to the focus throw on these lenses?
So the focus throw across the whole lineup is just 180-degree turn across all.
Wow, so we've kept the consistency high on all of these lenses, which is, I love to see Blazar continuously improving from like the original, like coming from the Nero down to the Remus, and then making the wider lenses. The B set from the A set has been an improvement, and now the Mantis has seen, again, a visual boost. So really excited to see this new offering from Blazar. Before we go, I want to talk about availability and pricing.
Yes, so pricing-wise, we don't have a final pricing set for this yet, but we're expecting it to be in the range of the Remus, so maybe like $1,000 to $1,200 per lens is the goal. And then these are going to be available, the 35, 50, and 75 millimeter focal lengths will be available for purchase in May, and then the 25 and 100 will release later in June.
Oh, before I forget, off the top of your head, do you know close focus distance on these?
The close focus numbers range between like 1.25 and 2 feet, depending on the lens.
Beautiful. Well, you guys heard it here. This is the new Mantis line from Blazar. Full frame coverage, a nice set of lenses that are affordably priced. We'll be looking more in the channel for some additional test footage. Thanks so much for staying tuned, and we're out.